everybody, and welcome in to Blue Jays Today, where, folks, we have officially entered into trade season. It is July 1st today at the time of recording. Happy Canada Day. Happy birthday to our country. Being it July 1st, no longer in June, no longer at all in the first half of the season. This is officially trade deadline season. We are less than a month away now before the Toronto Blue Jays need to make the decision whether or not they want to buy or whether or not they want to sell. And based on the recent reports that are coming out, which we're going to break down, we're going to discuss, we're going to look at what it all means upcoming for the upcoming schedule and everything that's happened with this team, it is looking like selling is going to be the direction that they're going in. And in fact, there are already a couple key players on the trade block. All of that, as well as some recent breakdowns on the series that just happened with the New York Yankees, 3-3 on the week against some AL East rivals, and then running in to a really hot Houston Astros team moving forward. So much to talk about today. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
I'm your host, Adam Peddle. Yeah, guys, this is the first trade deadline on this channel where we're not looking at the trade deadline as an exciting time for how we're going to boost this team to go to the postseason. No, we actually got to start looking at this deadline and talking about how we're going to sell pieces of this team to boost the team in the future. So it's a different angle that we got to look at this. And, you know, a lot of people out there, even myself, were thinking, hey, if we end up winning this Yankees series, maybe we got a chance. We didn't. We split. The Jays are still 7 games below 500, and they're 7.5 games back of a wild card spot. And unless they go on a winning streak of 10 games, the Blue Jays will ultimately be sellers at the deadline. And I don't know. At first, I was resisting it, but now I feel like, you know what? I'm for it. We know this team what they are. We know the roster isn't built right. Let's change the roster, and it starts with the guys that are the unrestricted dudes this year.
I mean, it all depends on me and how you navigate this, and we are starting to learn more about how Ross Atkins intends to do so. You know, take everything, though, as we say on this podcast, with a grain of salt, because we're hearing stuff from some analysts who are hearing stuff from their sources, who are hearing stuff from, no one really knows. But I think that as we get closer, the picture is getting a bit more clear. And right now we are looking at those one-year rental guys. It was reported yesterday, I believe, by Bob Nightingale that, in fact, there are several players, 5 of them, that are currently on the trade block already. And those 5 guys are the usual suspects, the ones that you would expect. Starter Yusei Kikuchi, catcher Danny Jansen, reliever Jimmy Garcia, DH Justin Turner, and outfielder Kevin Kiermaier. Those are the names that have consistently been coming up. We've been talking about them. Ben Nicholson-Smith, Shai Davidi, you name it. They've been talking about them as well. They are all on one-year deals. Some of them, clearly are having better years than others. Looking at you, Kevin Kiermaier. But seriously, there is definitely some value in these players. Danny Jansen could provide a bunch. Yusei Kikuchi, there's been some rough starts, but also some really good starts in there as well. He could provide some value. Jimmy Garcia, we know what he's capable of doing when he's healthy. And apparently, even though Ross Atkins has come out and said time and time again, he believes in this 2024 team, we need to stay patient. We need to trust the process. This article kind of goes against that.
I think there's no avoiding it. I mean, anybody who's been around the league knows, well, if you're a team that has aspirations, which Ross Atkins has come out and said, yes, we still have hope for 2025, that this team could maybe be competitive, the most logical thing you could do is to punt this season away because it ain't working. Punt these guys away. Get any sort of value that you can in this time. Now, a lot of people are still talking about Bo and Vlad. Are they going to be on the trade block this year? Well, they apparently, again, this is through the grapevine of rumors. This is all word of mouth. Yet, they still want to make a run, like I said, with Vladdy and Bo Bichette. And they should be staying until at least this winter, if not next summer. Okay, so maybe, if we do finish this season, we don't trade Bo and Vlad at the deadline. Well, if you do want to pivot, if you are seeing, well, damn, we really are looking at this roster right now, and there is no future in 2025. We really don't know if we could put it together a competitive team. Maybe the free agent market isn't there for us. Maybe it is time to trade one of Bo or Vlad, but we'll address that in the offseason. Also, could be a new general manager with a new direction that could be taken that. So, however, this means not certain. This isn't certain that Bo and Vlad are going to be staying with the Toronto Blue Jays. This is just, again, speculation. You never know what can happen this upcoming trade deadline.
Yeah, of course. I mean, literally, like, if they get an incredible offer on the table, then that is something that they're going to need to entertain. And I want to talk a little bit later about Bo Bichette specifically, because it seems like every other day when I'm looking up Toronto Blue Jays' latest news, there are articles talking about Bo and potentially moving him. But before we even get to that, going back to those one-year rental guys and Yusei and Danny and Jimmy, I mean, I think that you can make some strong arguments for why they should get moved. So I'm not even going to ask you whether or not you think that this is the right decision or not.
Yeah.
I guess what I would ask instead is there any argument to keeping any of them, right? I think a lot of people have talked about Danny Jansen saying that they don't want to get rid of him. And similarly speaking, to a different extent, Justin Turner, kind of that veteran presence in the clubhouse. Maybe you don't need it anymore if you're going to sell regardless, but still a guy that a lot of people like. Is there any arguments to not trading these guys? Because I do believe that you can make some strong ones for getting value.
Yeah, Danny Jansen's obviously is a clear one. I mean, we've talked about time and time again, even preseason we've talked about it, where Danny Jansen is the core of this Blue Jays team, hashtag to the core, I'd even argue more than a Vlad and a Bo, where this guy handles not only his end of things with a bat, but he also handles the pitching side of things, which has been our bread and butter for quite some time. Not so much recently, they've been ass.
Yeah.
But Danny Jansen has been a big face of this team, even before Vladimir Gurerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette came to this team. There's been a lot of arguments that, well, if you want to extend him, like, do it soon and do it now. But they're not going to be doing any extensions before the trade deadline. So going into the trade deadline, well, are you going to risk it that if he ends up going to another team? That could be a possibility. Now, we're not privy to the conversations behind the scenes. Maybe there is a sort of confidence that Danny's going to test the market, but lean towards the Jays. Who knows? That's a guy that I'd still want to keep around to let him know, like, hey, we're not trading you because we believe in you and we believe in you in this team.
That's the thing, right? Like, actually, speaking of Danny Jansen, the guy just went on the paternity list. So,
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to him, right? Hopefully, him and his family are going to get some incredible news very soon. But Danny Jansen, to me, is not just a staple in the lineup, but he's a staple in the clubhouse, and he's a staple personality in that dugout. And as a lot of people know who have been longtime viewers of this channel and this podcast, listening for a while, you all know that I am a massive Alejandro Kirk fan, right? I'm always in this guy's camp. I want the best for him, and I do believe in him long term. But there's no denying that Alejandro Kirk has been playing some terrible baseball this year, right?
Flash it over right here.
It's just they're not falling for him. We thought that last year was a down year, which it was, and this year's even worse than that. So, I mean, I'm not completely out on Alejandro Kirk forever, but I think that there are some very serious and strong arguments that can be made that you can certainly not be walking into next season with just Alejandro Kirk as your main catcher, or, it's Alejandro Kirk and Brian Servin or whoever, it's like you need to have another player in there that at the very least could have the same type of potential as Alejandro Kirk and hopefully more. Danny Jansen is the easiest person for that because he knows all of these guys. He knows these pitchers very well. He knows the organization, and the organization likes him. So I think that Ross Atkins, if you are going to trade away Danny Jansen, you need to be very careful with how you are going about doing this. That relationship needs to be 100% intact, because there will 100% be a phone call on the first day of free agency from the Blue Jays to Danny's camp saying, hey, dude, how's it going? Great season. We want you back because we need you back.
Now, interesting thought I just had right here. Speaking of the first day into free agency, there will be that grace period of qualifying offers. If you're the Toronto Blue Jays and you actually, let's say Ross Atkins somehow is sticking around, and you actually need a run in 2025, you can't do it with Alejandro Kirk as your main catcher.
No.
You can't do it at this point. So I would, if you are serious about a run, either extend him or offer him that qualifying offer at least for this year.
Right.
To see if you actually do have a chance. If you don't, you might as well just do the alternative, which we talked about, is you might as well trade Bo Bichette now, because you're not going to have a chance with a guy who carries your pitching staff for the last 6 years. You're not going to have a chance.
I think the qualifying offer is something that I hadn't thought of until literally right now. You're just bringing it up. But I think that would make sense, right? I mean, obviously, like, Danny Jansen, he was incredibly hot. He is starting to fall off the table a little bit. In the qualifying offer, you would have to pay him a significant amount. Like, it would definitely be a lot.
That would convince him. That would absolutely convince him, that money.
If you're not, like that would at least, at the very least, if he declines, well, okay, you get some type of
Right.
draft capital, and who knows, maybe you could still have that extension conversation with him right after that. So again, this is why you need to be so careful when it comes to a Danny Jansen trade. When I look over to somebody like a Yusei Kikuchi, for instance, right? A Yusei Kikuchi, it's not the same type of concern for me at all, because Yusei Kikuchi, I really don't see any reality where he comes back next year. I know that there's a lot of people that would love to see Yusei Kikuchi come back to the Toronto Blue Jays. Fuck, guys, we have literally Cooch is loose t-shirts. We have made an entire, slogan and t-shirt brand based off of this guy. So, of course, we would love to see it as well. But when you're looking at the depth of this pitching rotation, I mean, you still want to have Yariel Rodriguez come in and turn into a guy. I think assuredly Ricky Tiedemann, assuming injuries do not hold him back, will be in the MLB next year. It just wouldn't make any sense to hold him down any longer. In fact, I would argue that if the injuries would allow him to, we will even see him by the end of this season.
Right.
So that's going to be a guy that you definitely need to be owning a spot. And then if you don't trade away Gausman and you don't trade away Chris Bassett and you don't trade away Jose Barrios, because you still want to have those guys, that's 5 players right there. So
Perfect.
Yusei Kikuchi, I'm not nearly as concerned about trading away. Is there any argument to holding on to him for you?
I mean, not really. You might as well soak the value out of it, especially pitching market can be a very competitive and highly costly market. However, with that being said, Yusei Kikuchi's value has been dropping immensely, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, his ERA at one point in the season, mid-May, was around a 2. It was like a 2 mid-2, okay?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a moment there, actually. I think it was coming off of, like, Barrios had a bad start, Kikuchi had a good one. And for a brief moment there, Yusei Kikuchi was the best pitcher on the Toronto Blue Jays. For like 1 week of time, it was like, oh my God, this guy is showing up this year.
You're in fact right, Nick, absolutely. But when you look at what happened since honestly, even since May here. May hit a 3.62 ERA, which is still good.
Yeah.
But then the month of June has been awful for Yusei Kikuchi at 6.26. So the value has been depleting every single day. And we looked at WAR numbers, and Yusei Kikuchi was up there in the WAR leaders. His WAR is dropping now.
Yeah.
He's costing the Blue Jays games, and this is not what you want to see from Yusei Kikuchi a month before the deadline. He's got to get it cooking, because at this point, every day, like, you're getting less and less and less. In fact, there might even be if the market, depending on how it is, if it is so good, this might be the last guy off the board, and you're getting like a 28th pick or a rookie ball player that's like years and years away. You're getting nothing.
Well, yeah, exactly, right? A month and a half ago, you looked at what Yusei Kikuchi was doing on the bump, and you think to yourself, okay, that is a guy that if I was a playoff team, I would feel confident throwing out there on my second or my third game, in a series, right? I would be okay with doing that and giving him an opportunity to go out and win us a game. Looking at the statistics now in the past month, I saw in June there, and we are now through June, by the way, everybody. It's July 1st, so June is said and done. Those numbers will forever be there. Opponents had an OPS of 899 against Yusei Kikuchi in the month of June. Those are, MVP All-Star level numbers right there that he is allowing other hitters to hit off of him. That is not somebody for me. If I'm a playoff squad right now, the LA Dodgers, for instance, or you name it, any other team that needs pitching, there's a lot of them out there. I don't look at that guy and think to myself, I want to be giving away one of my top prospects and throwing him out there in the postseason for us. I'm looking at some of the bigger names right now. Some of those guys over on Detroit. They got a lot of pitchers, and they are going to be selling. Then that's where I go to first. Yusei Kikuchi at this point would be kind of a last resort almost option, who is just almost like a depth piece for your pitching to try to bridge you to the playoffs. Yeah. But I don't even he'd need to really improve if you wanted to be throwing him out there, in game 2, game 3, or wherever you're at.
It's almost like I know the Yankees pitching staff has been pretty brutal in the last 2 weeks of baseball, but if they come back to form, which I think they will, they're the Yankees. Adding him just to get you over to September. Exactly. It would be great.
That's the thing, right? It'd be a squad like that where it's like, okay, we know that we are looking to be a postseason team. We don't want to risk any more injuries from some of our other pre-existing guys. We do still need to pick up some W's. Let's just get this guy, pitch him for 2 months, and then that will be that, So that worries me a little bit just from a value standpoint. And it makes me wonder about another name that people keep throwing out there. It's not on the list of the 5 players who are currently on the trade block, trade deadline. But we were discussing this yesterday at our live event at Greta. Shout out to those who came, by the way. Lots of fun. Incredible venue. You guys need to go check it out. But Chris Bassett is somebody who is getting talked about a lot. And when you're discussing a player who deserves to be on a postseason team, who would be helping any squad that they're on right now win games and, go on a bit of a run. And when you just look at his career as a whole, 35 years old right now, this is assuredly the back nine of Chris Bassett's career. He's not going to have a whole lot more opportunities to go out and to win a ring. This, to me, feels like a player who the LA Dodgers or the New York Mets, if they're in it, or any one of those teams that are looking to make a serious run, this is a guy that you would give up a significant amount of prospect capital to get on your team, and then you would throw him out there in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chris Bassett isn't a kind of guy where you convinced me on the live stream yesterday where, you could still sell him and be competitive next year because you could go pick up a free agent guy if you still want to be somewhat competitive. If that was your strategy, then you could go do that. Chris Bassett's got the highest value right now, having one more year after this. And Chris Bassett's the kind of guy where I bet he walks into Ross Atkins' office and goes, I need a trade. I gotta go. This is the fact that this guy's got a 3.24 ERA. In the last month, we're gonna show the stats. He's got like a 1.84 ERA. He's dominating, and he hasn't been getting any wins for the Toronto Blue Jays. He got hit by a pitch in the arm against the Yankees and still got the win.
He went full on like Terminator mode that game, man. Like any other guy, like especially with the season that the Blue Jays are having. I mean, anyone else would have been, we would have looked at them and been perfectly fine if you just said, you know what, fuck it. Like, see you again in 5 days, everybody. I'll go sit on the bench. You guys handle this one. Chris Bassett said, no way, Jose, and went back out there and kept dominating. So now, he deserves to be on a winning roster.
I agree. Now, will Ross Atkins' front office realize that? Because if I'm Ross Atkins' front office, and I'm thinking I got to keep winning, I probably won't trade Chris Bassett. I got to keep him for next year. Why would I do that? Because I think that's, and I'm not giving them any credit here. That's a little bit too smart for Ross Atkins' front office. That's not a smart move that they would even see. They don't see that coming. They think, oh, good player, we keep. That's it. I don't think they're that smart to make that move.
I certainly hear what you're saying. And it all depends on how big of a retool and a rebuild this Blue Jays team is going to do. Because when you look at those 5 guys, listed already there, a month or two ago, there was a lot of value there. But now you're looking at it, Yusei Kikuchi, he's had a rough month in June, and his statistics aren't looking as good. Danny Jansen is doing well still, but he's actually fallen off quite a bit, and he's the one guy that you actually probably don't want to trade. Jimmy Garcia is hurt right now, and before he was hurt, he was getting banged up, and his ERA got inflated. Justin Turner is a guy.
He's probably our best piece. Not even being like which kind of sucky.
That's the thing, right? Let's face it, right? You're looking at a 39-year-old, just DH. He's not going to play any defense at all, so there's no value there. Nope. Just a hitter who is doing okay on the season and should provide some value. And then you have Kevin Kiermaier, and I mean, if anyone thinks right now that you are going to get anything for Kevin Kiermaier, you are lying to yourself, folks. I truly believe that the only way out of Kevin Kiermaier is by DFAing him. The one attribute that Kevin Kiermaier does still have is the defense. We saw it yesterday, actually, in the 8-1 loss to the New York Yankees. Kevin Kiermaier robbed the 9th run for the Yankees, which would have been a home run. Incredible play, and if you were on a playoff team that already had amazing hitting, maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want that defensive replacement, but this will be a hole in your lineup for offensively speaking.
Honestly, I'm just tossing us some lineups right here, but when I think over at the Philadelphia Phillies lineup, that's stacked right now. For example, they're stacked, right?
Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber not doing so good right now.
That's true. That's true. They're kind of hurt right now, but let's say they're healthy, right? They need a center fielder. They don't really have a true center fielder that's defensively speaking. You could punt away some of the offense if you're going to get great defense late in games from him. Hell, the Atlanta Braves, right? You are injured. You have no Acuna. You have another spot to fill. Go get Kevin Kiermaier off the bench. That's always worked. He's a bench guy, defensive replacement, lefty. And it's garbage. I'm not even going to argue that his numbers are good because they're garbage. So that's all he got. So what kind of value is that? Fuck. It's not cash considerations.
Potentially.
That's literally it.
Potentially.
That's all you're going to get for Kevin Kiermaier.
And that's what I mean. The point being, when you look at those 5 players a month ago, we would have looked at them and said, okay, Danny Jansen could get a haul. Yusei Kikuchi could get a haul. Jimmy Garcia, one of the better bullpen guys that you can trade for right now. That isn't the case anymore. So if you are looking to do a bigger retool, a bigger rebuild, like you are looking to get more youth in, which I think a lot of us can agree Blue Jays need to do because that farm system, I mean, fuck, our top 2 prospects, one of them keeps getting injured. The other one was taking PEDs. Unknowingly, apparently, but still taking PEDs.
Yeah.
So our prospect system, that's not doing so good right now. The next option to actually get more guys in there, and really your best and only option, is Chris Bassett.
Right.
You know, so it all depends.
It's too smart for them.
Do they want to actually go in that route and commit to this? Or do you just want to do these like half-selling moves, which is the Kevin Kiermaier and which is the Jimmy Garcias?
I mean, I feel like I know Ross Atkins' front office too much. They're going to do those half-sell. Because even when they were buying in, they were half buying in. Like, they don't commit one way or another. They just play it so safe. That's too risky for Ross Atkins. That's why we've been calling, get somebody else in for this trade deadline. It's not going to happen. There's no sign. It's too late. It's already happening. Trades, rumors, and conversations are happening. You have Ross Atkins for this deadline, which means it's going to suck. It's going to suck.
It could, yeah. It definitely could, man. I mean, the one thing that we will give Ross Atkins credit for, if this is to be believed and it is to be true, apparently Guerrero and Bo, they are not willing to do that yet. And, you know, we'll talk about Bo momentarily. Vladimir Gurerrero Jr., what he has been doing right now, it's phenomenal. He has now convinced me this is the season that I needed to see as a fan to go, okay, I don't want to say that you're the guy. I don't want to say that you're the $300 million guy, but assuredly you belong on this team longer term. And if there is any route to potentially winning in the future, we need you to be a part of it. And that is why this week, everybody, he is your Jay of the Week.
Jay of the Week.
He's the Jay of the Week, everybody.
He's the Jay of the Week, everyone.
Weird graphic there, everybody. But obviously, it has to go to Vladimir Gurerrero Jr. I mean, he is just, he's scoring the baseball right now. This stat blew me away. I don't know if it's still true because I tweeted this out a day or two ago. But in the last 10 games, 20 RBIs for Vladimir Gurerrero Jr., right? We were looking at the production. It was awful. It's all the way back. 50 RBIs on the season. Huge. That's in spitting range now if you stay healthy and you keep doing what you're doing of hitting that big 100 mark at the end of the year if you can stay on the field, obviously. But this is what I needed to see as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at his last, just getting a little bit more microscope here. Just in the last week, dude had a 500 batting average. Yeah. And 17 RBIs in that week, 4 home runs. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see. And when I actually do, and I look at the last 3 years now, like now you have a sample size big enough where you could say, okay, even though he had that big MVP year, what's his floor? What's it going to be? Well, all these numbers in the last 3 years have been eerily close, right? You have the 133 OPS plus, the 116 OPS plus, and the 141 OPS plus, which comes out to about a 128 OPS plus. That's a guy that I need to see on this team moving forward because when he's an unrestricted free agent, he'll be 27 years old. Yeah. So if you wanted to sign this guy to a 8-year deal, something along those lines, you're going to get all of Vladimir Gurerrero Jr. in his prime. And again, he plays first base, not a whole taxing defensive position. So his body, unlike George Springer, is probably going to last longer if he does take care of it. That's another thing. Yeah. But I agree. Moving forward in the next window, if we're just looking ahead, this makes a lot of sense because if we want to be competitive again in the next 8 years, which I hope to God we will be, then signing Vlad, absolutely. Now, Bo Bichette, on the other hand, very different story. He's not really showing a lot of positive signs that he wants to stay as a Toronto Blue Jay. Yeah. And it just so happens, like we all know, his value's at his lowest right now, coming into the last year and a half of his contract. Where are you kind of sitting with the whole Bo Bichette maybe extension, maybe not?
Look, I'll push back a little bit in the terms of his values at the lowest because I still believe that other MLB teams look at Bo Bichette and know what he is as a guy. I understand that this season's not been going very well, but I think that because he still has that additional year on his contract, if you were to trade him, you would get a decent haul. And Ross Atkins or Bob Nightingale, actually, I should say, because Ross Atkins hasn't, this
directly
is, exactly. Yeah. But Bob Nightingale was saying that they do intend to hold on to Bo and they do intend to hold on to Guerrero. And if anything was to be done, it would be in the winter. Now, I think that based on what we're seeing from Vladimir Gurerrero Jr., I think it would be at this point pretty silly to trade him away. I think that you need to be looking at that extension in this winter. That needs to be one of your top priorities, as it probably should have been the last couple winters. But whatever, this is now the time. So this winter. Bo Bichette, on the other hand, though, even though this is, we're hearing this and whatever, there's been a lot of reports from other teams looking at Bo and going, you know what, he would be a really good LA Dodger, or he would be a really good, name it, right? It's like everyone's seemingly looking at Bo and going, this is a good buy piece right now. And I do certainly understand it. And I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be overtly shocked if Bo left this this trade deadline, because I think that would be the fully, we're talking about how far do you want to go down the retool rabbit hole. That is like the furthest that you can go would be a Chris Bassett and a Bo Bichette type deal.
See, only reason why I'd be shocked is because I just don't believe Ross Atkins has it in him.
Right.
Like, I just do not believe this guy. He's so committed, and I know he's saying it, and we take his words with a grain of salt. But like him trading Bo is like, okay, I'm cooked now. I'm done. I lost. I've lost this team. Fire me this offseason. I'm done. So I wouldn't be shocked, though, if he got traded this offseason under a new GM. Like, we fired Ross Atkins, brought in a new GM. He sees the writing on the wall. He's not attached to this team. Or maybe he is. Maybe he's James Click. Who knows? This makes all the sense in the world. Get value here. I'm not signing both of these guys back. Also, I don't know how much to pay Bo Bichette if he ends this year with what he's doing so far. I have no idea. It's like Vladdy last year coming off a bad year. We had no idea what he's worth. We know how much Vladdy's worth. He could be in that 200 plus range. You never know, right? That feels like where you're going to get with him.
At the very least now, and again, I'm a fan. I'm not fucking fitting the bill here. But now, based on what we're seeing, especially in that month of June, I am comfortable with giving Gurerrero an extension. Whereas you look at Bo Bichette, and I think that's the biggest concern here, right? Like, if he was doing very good, okay, well, maybe I don't want to trade him right now because now we know what to pay him, and we could lock him down and hopefully lock Gurerrero down as well. But I don't think Bo is going to get an extension this offseason. Like, how could you, right? Like, what you've seen all up to, unless he has an incredible month of August or whatever, July, and just completely turns it around, what you've seen up until this point has been a player who kind of looks mentally checked out, who is not performing the best in the field or in the box, and honestly, frankly, looks like he doesn't really want to be here. So an extension to me in the offseason just doesn't feel like it's on the table for Bo. For Gurerrero, absolutely. And maybe that is why I think that you could see a Bo trade, or at least hear some rumors about it. For right now, Bob Nightingale is saying, you know what? No, they're going to hold on to them. And if that is the reality of it, I'm okay with that. But I think I would still like to see a bit more of a sell than just those 5 guys that we mentioned to try to get some more return.
I agree. Hey, look, I kind of like this conversation because you're saying and speaking what everyone's thinking. Everybody's thinking this.
Well, I might not be, though. If you guys don't agree with us, please push back. It's like,
or at least what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Open forum here,
Whereas, like, I'm thinking about this fucking guy in the front office, Ross Atkins. I'm thinking about what he's thinking, potentially.
Right.
And that's where I keep coming to him. Like, this guy just won't do it. He just won't do it. But we'll see. That's why we're going to be covering this entire trade deadline, doing a bunch of live streams, a lot of Blue Jays Today shows, a lot of videos, covering the latest Blue Jays rumors, trade rumors. It's going to be a crazy month, guys. We're going to see a completely new team come August. I almost guarantee it.
Could be. Before we move on, everybody, if you haven't already done so, hit that like, smash that subscribe button. We've got 171 people watching right now. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, turn on automatic downloads. We come every Monday and every single Friday. Let's move on and talk a little bit about some injury news right here that is decently concerning, folks. Jordan Romano, Markham maniac for the Toronto Blue Jays. Rough season, to say the least. And it's looking like it could just get worse. Latest Blue Jays injury news could be close to final straw for trade deadline sale, and that is because right now Jordan Romano has been shut down after experiencing elbow discomfort while throwing yesterday. He was going to get a second opinion. We were talking to Scott from the Walk Off podcast about this, and we all agreed second opinions are usually bad because it means that you don't like the first opinion, and that could mean that Jordan Romano, God forbid, gets the TJ. I hope that's not the case, but I really wouldn't be shocked at all if you don't see Jordan Romano for the remainder of this season.
And the remainder of his potentially Blue Jay career.
Well,
guys.
that's the ceiling
the
of
ceiling.
terrible, but I hope that's not the case.
Because if TJ happens, you could be seeing Jordan Romano without a contract, with the Toronto Blue Jays by the end of it all. But I will say, I think if anyone, we're talking about like guys who, deserve another year or like who we'd actually realistically sign back. Jordan Romano, 1 year, either just, either you're given the option. We got blanket on the thing after
qualifying
offer. Thank you. Given the qualifying offer, it might be a little bit too much for Jordan Romano, but give him a 1 year prove it deal. I mean, he's literally Canadian. He's from around here. If I'm Jordan Romano and I'm coming off Tommy John, my value's gone now, and now my contract's up. I need a year to prove it. Where else would I go other than the Toronto Blue Jays for 1 year?
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think that's a little deep down the rabbit hole because I mean, like, I don't know if you could give somebody coming off of Tommy John, if that is what's going to happen, which we don't know. Yeah, we still haven't got the update. All we know is that it's something a little ominous right here, and he's getting a second opinion and everything like that, and he has been shut down. If that was to happen, maybe those conversations, proceed. I think the biggest thing for me, immediately is who is going to close games for us this year, and who's going to close games for us next year? Well, if he does have to be, if it is going to be an injury thing, right? For this year, Eric Swanson is no one knows. No one knows what the hell's going on there.
Right now. This season's a wash for him.
Jimmy Garcia, the one other guy who was kind of good for us, will probably get traded at the deadline, as Bob Nightingale reported.
Right.
Who the fuck is going to save games for us?
I think this year it won't matter. Because we're not looking to save any games.
Right.
We're actually looking to, if we're selling, you might as well lose. Who cares at that point, right? Go test out your guys. Bring up Ricky Tiedemann. Play a shared bullpen role. Who cares at that point, right? Like, I mean, some guys might need it for the next year, but whatever. In the off season, it's the off season's where it all matters, because then you can ask your question. Okay, now who the hell is going to save games for us?
And again, all depends on how serious this injury is. Hopefully,
exactly.
Fingers crossed, right? Like the best case scenario here. Well, this is still kind of a shitty scenario, but best case scenario, if he does need to be shut down for the season, that's it, right? And then you can, you rehab, throughout this season, rehab in the offseason. You're good to go for next year, because he does have one more additional year after this one.
But in reality, I mean, Sophie's saying the facts. It will be still Chad Green doing the closing.
Probably.
Which, again, is like not ideal. He's supposed to be our third guy coming into the season, but whatever. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to suck. And it just continues to pile on the problems for the Toronto Blue Jays. That's why I like that title. This might be the final straw. Like, our offense has been weak. Our pitching has been horrendous. And then the bullpen's a disaster.
Well, the bullpen is one of those things that has really been overlooked this year, right? Because when you obviously the offense gets all the headlines and everything for being bad, and they have for a large part of the season been very bad. This past week, pretty good, but we'll get more on that later. The bullpen, though, when you walked into this season, that was supposed to be one of your biggest strengths, right? And you look at it right now. I was, again, talking to Scott from the Walk-Off. Go check them out, guys. Great stuff over there. And, who are your best guys, right? It was supposed to be Jordan. It was supposed to be Eric. Jimmy was right up there. All of them gone, right? Not even on the team right now.
Meza was supposed to be good.
Meza, DFA'd, right? Meza had a 1.5 ERA last year, and then all of a sudden, just completely falls off the cliff. So all of the best guys that you assumed would be almost like your top four in your bullpen, they're not even on the team right now. Like, we got Genesis Cabrera out there, Nate Pearson. What the hell do you do with Nate Pearson? This bullpen has been a complete disaster. And I mean, it's one of those things where, yes, the offense has absolutely had its problems. But that game on Monday, we broke this one down in our last Blue Jays Today show. That game on Monday last week, that was a winnable game. Bullpen comes in, whoop, blown it, Tim Meza actually saved my fucking life. We were doing the 9x9x9 challenge on Friday. Tim Meza comes in. I think he gives up 5, 6, 7 earned runs in the last inning.
No outs. 5 runs, no outs.
Just terrible performance. Terrible performance. Saved my life, though, because he gave me enough time to finish my final hot dog there, everybody. Vlog coming out on that shortly, guys. But this bullpen has been abysmal. And it brings me to the next point that we wanted to discuss here. Something that is, I think, now starting to get a little bit more headlines and needs to be discussed. And I hate to talk about it. But Kevin Gausman was supposed to be the ace, the guy, the one that we trusted in every scenario. Yesterday, rough outing, not the only one of the season. What are your thoughts on Kevin Gausman as a whole? Is it time to worry here?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Gausman's 33 years old now, guys, and around that time, I mean, pitchers a little bit later in their career, but around that time, you're going to see guys starting to fall off and lose a little bit of command. However, I will say he missed spring training. That's going to be a huge factor. You see it around the league. Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, missing spring trainings for different reasons. His was injury. Look at Alek Manoah. Missed spring training, injury. He's garbage. Different situation there. But you look at guys like Kevin Gausman who have a great track record in the last 2 years with low 3 ERAs. And then this year, it's falling off the charts. And it's the smallest difference, guys. When I look at his pitch arsenal and where he's pitching, the smallest difference, his slider is being hung in the bottom part of the zone. If you recognize that coming out of the top, you are hammering that pitch. And
take a look at the batting average against. It's abysmal.
Guys. It's abysmal. The slider has a 381 batting average against. And here's the thing. Because he's not also commanding a split finger with finesse, he's not getting away with the fastball command either, and that's getting blown up as well. If your slider is just going to hang there for me, I can adjust it, no problem. If your split finger is not even hitting the zone, this is 2023 numbers, guys. This is 2024. Actually, slider here, missing a lot more. So if you're missing here with the slider, missing here with the split finger, then, I'll just sit on the fastball, which is going to be right down the effing middle. And it's easy. So when you're not commanding your pitches, you're not going to be effective. And I think a lot of it does have to do with the fact he did miss spring training. I think this isn't the end of Kevin Gausman, but certainly it's not a great season.
You know what? I certainly hear you about the spring training thing, and I think that is a factor. But I also think it's July 1st now, and we have been clinging on to that reasoning, that excuse all season long. Like, this isn't the first time that we've had this conversation, and it's not the first time that we've brought up the fact that he's missed spring training. So I totally hear that, and I agree with you. That is a factor. But there does come a point where it's like, okay, you know what? You do get paid. I forget how much he gets paid. A lot of money. A lot of money to be the guy, to be the ace. We know that you have it, right? Like, you do have the potential. You've done it year in, year out. You've done it with us. You've done it on other teams. There has to be a moment where you figure it out. Maybe it's the All-Star break. I see from Sophie right here saying that All-Star break could be a big help for him. Yep. I could see that. Yep. I could believe that taking a little bit of time off could certainly be, could help him a lot. And I think that after that, we're going to get a really good sense as to what are we going to expect from Kevin Gausman walking into 2025. He is 33 years old, and he's got 2 more years left on his contract after this year. So it's still a long time of Kevin Gausman. You certainly could not, trade him or cut him at this point because his value is too low to trade, and you wouldn't want to cut a guy like Kevin Gausman because you believe that he's going to come around, and he should. He absolutely should. But we need to see some type of positive signs from him before this year is up, I think. Because if he was to finish this year, for instance, with a 4.75 ERA, and by the way, his WAR is negative 0.7 right now, so not very good. What do what are your thoughts on Gausman walking into next year? If he finishes like that right now, I don't know.
Right. Well, it's the same thing I think about when Jose Barrios had a horrible year. I mean, we had to ride it out. We signed him to a big extension. You got to ride him out. And he's got it in the bag. Like, he's got stuff in his past that's proven that I could be a good, effective guy on the bump every 5th day. Kevin Gausman's the same situation. Plus, our situation's kind of changed a little bit where now I don't know what I'm expecting from this team next year. So anything I can get for Kevin Gausman is great if we're trying to compete next year in this rotation. But for me, it's just simply I've seen it in the past. You're going to roll him out. And if he sucks, then you bite the bullet. It's the same thing that's happening with George Springer. There's nothing you can do about it, especially if this window's closing. He's just part of that shut. Well, he's part of that shutting window.
Here's the thing. I certainly hear you with that, but that would be a massive blow, right? Like, if Springer's not, we can only really afford one aging veteran here who is on a extremely lucrative contract not performing, right? That's George Springer. He is turning it around. George Springer had an incredible week. I will say one thing about the Jose Barrios thing, right? Like, for me, I hear where you're coming from there, right? They've had the pedigree, they've done it in the past, but we're also looking at a difference about 6 years in age, right?
For sure.
Kevin Gausman coming into next year will be 34. If he is coming off of a rough year, hopefully, again, still half of a season for him to turn it around. But if we are looking at, a negative WAR and an ERA that's close to touching 5, I think that there will be some serious concerns about age, and I think that you would be right to have those concerns.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Look, and again, if the window's shutting, I see it a lot like we saw in 2016, 2017. The window's shutting, there's nothing you could do. It's shutting. Look, like I mean, the bullpen's horrible. Or we traded away all our good offensive players. This is just another shit problem in the shit hell. You know, it's like, what are we gonna do? Like, even if he does turn around, like, it's not really gonna save the season. Maybe not. Well, you know what I mean?
So then I guess, like, if you believe that, right? And this is a question for Ross Atkins. If you really believe that, like, if you're looking at Gausman and you're starting to worry, and you're looking at Springer and starting to worry, which I don't think he is, because I think he's just so committed to his guys. Then I think it's abundantly clear what you have to do.
I know.
Chris Bassett needs to get sold. Maybe Bo Bichette as well, because if we actually think Kevin Gausman's not, like, if we think Kevin Gausman might be dealing with age and George Springer might be dealing with age, then we're not going to be good next year.
No,
we just won't, because we are relying on those players.
I know.
It's a tough spot, everybody. It's a tough spot.
That's what I'm saying. Get rid of Ross Atkins. Get somebody else with a new perspective that can actually save this roster and this team. I want to do a couple quick hitters here, just because we are getting up in time. We got Vladimir Gurerrero Jr. not playing in the home run derby. That's a thing.
Disappointing.
That's very disappointing. He said he wanted to give some other guys an opportunity to play, which, like, I mean, maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. Like, I'd love to see Vladdy try and defend the title, but he won't be in the home run derby. That was the one thing I was looking forward to in the All-Star game.
Well, you know, I certainly hear about it from his perspective, right? Like, he is starting to put together a good season. This also came out 2 days ago, so it makes sense. He's starting to put together a good season right now. He's like, okay, I'm finally finding my swing. God forbid I get injured, or God forbid I, change up my swing in the home run derby, and now I'm in my head or whatever, right? Probably at this point, like, you don't want to do it. If Guerrero was having a garbage year, I think he would do it.
Yeah, for
just because it's like, you know what? Well, not doing good anyways. Maybe this will help get some momentum. So as much as I would have loved to see him do that, for me, if you can go and put up 100 RBIs, if you can get close to touching 30 home runs in the second half of the year, I'm perfectly okay with that.
I'm okay with that. Sign an extension, be with a J for life. That's all I really care about at this point, really.
Yes.
I mean, I would have loved to see him smack some dingers just for entertainment.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Honestly, look, I know that they're rivals of us, but Gunnar Henderson, exciting dude. I am excited to watch him in the home run.
That'll be exciting, man. That'll be exciting. Okay, let's look at right now where the Jays are at. I mean, we all know that we split the series against the New York Yankees, 2-2. I mean, if we wanted to come back in this season, we needed to at least win that series. We did not. So now, where are we at in the standings? It's not looking too good, guys. We're freezing up a little bit here because my computer's so slow. There we go. We're 38-45. We're 7 games below 500, 7.5 games out of a wild card spot, folks. And now we're going up against the Houston Astros, who are absolutely dominating right now. They're 9-1 in their last 10. We ran into the Yankees at the best time, and all we could do was split the series. We're running into the Astros at the absolute worst time. We've already lost the series against them, and now we got to do a lot better. This is tough.
I'm just taking a look right now, everybody. It's been a couple days since I looked at the Toronto Blue Jays playoff odds. We are now at 4.7%. So we're basically where we were at the beginning of last week. That is typically what happens when you go 500. You kind of just stay in the same spot, and they need to be in a position where they are gaining some ground. You ran into the Yankees at the perfect time. You were doing the complete opposite with the Houston Astros. They are inevitable. Inevitable.
They're coming.
I use that word it's not light that I use that word. The Houston Astros are inevitable. Season in, season out. Doesn't matter who's on their fucking team. They'll make it happen. They were slow to start, probably because, this is just spring training for us. We don't care. And their injuries were crazy.
Yeah.
They are alive now. They are alive, and they might put us in our grave.
They might, guys, and it might happen on Canada's birthday. Canada Day, everybody. Happy Canada Day once again. The Jays got the lineup for today because they're playing at 3 o'clock. Pretty decent lineup. I think this is going to be the lineup moving forward. Bichette, Horwitz, Guerrero, Turner, Springer, Forsher, Schneider, Kirk in the lineup today, doing the catching for Yariel Rodriguez, everybody. It's going to be Yariel Rodriguez up against Hunter Brown, who's slowly starting to turn it around just a little bit. But Yariel, we have yet to see him lock in. We've only seen one appearance right now from him, and he got blown up. He was going to play in that Boston game. He started, but then it looked like he was going to get in some trouble. But then the rain delay, and now here we are. Houston Astros, Toronto Blue Jays. What are you thinking, Nick?
Well, I'm thinking that we might not have Guerrero in this one. Quick shout out here to Sophie, who was just saying breaking news by Mike Wilner, actually. So I don't know what this means, but it's bad. Blue Jays trainer Jose Ministral just spoke to manager John Schneider, and now the Jays are making a change to the starting lineup.
Oh, God.
Chances are that it's Vladdy coming out, but he wasn't on the field, and Minstrel was. Could be someone else. We'll let you know when they tell us. So the one guy, the literal one guy, the bright spot on the team, he was figuring it out. The reigning J of the week, everybody.
Yeah.
It is looking like Vladimir Gurerrero Jr. could be hurt, and he might be coming out of the game.
That kind of sucks for the wheel. He was a smash for like every category this week, and now I don't know what the hell. Oh man, if he goes on an IL stint, just wrap it up, guys. Let's start sell everybody, honestly. Wow. Okay.
He got hit in the hand yesterday.
He got hit in the hand. Yeah, that blows. So what does that mean? If no this is an L. No Vladdy. Yeah. Yariel Rodriguez in the pump. L. Bullpen isn't rested. L. Easy one.
That's just, man, like, that's actually just so demoralizing. Like, legitimately, the one guy that you could turn on your TV and like just actually be excited to, like, finally for years, I'm actually looking at Guerrero the same way that I used to look at him. And
Me too. I know. Well, we gotta wait and see, guys. We'll come up with some more news on our socials. Before we give our prediction or give your prediction, Nick, let's give a shout out to Betway, if it wants to go.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal. What do you got for us today?
Now this kind of changes my line a bit because, like, I mean, Guerrero's been so hot and everybody's been so hot.
6 RBIs the other day.
Literally 6 RBIs, but screw it. I'm still going with it, guys. When the line changes, I was going to go over on the run total for the game, 9.5. Yeah. Houston Astros offense is going to dominate Yariel Rodriguez. That's where most of my predictions are going to come from. And then hopefully the Blue Jays offense stays hot. I mean, we have it right here. I think I got it right here. No, I don't. We have 5 guys on the team right now with over 1,000 OPS in the last 15 days.
Yeah.
So for me, offense is cooking. You got Houston against Yariel. That's an over for me, and he got good odds. Got good odds on it.
It's gonna be really simple for me here, folks. I don't even have the lineup there, but I'll just take Houston Astros money line because I do think, especially with no Guerrero, it's just with the Yariel and the bullpen.
That's
and
easy. Hit it now, guys. Hit it now before it changes.
Fuck, this sucks, man. Okay, next game. We're going to lose the first one. That would give us a record of 38-46. That would put us 8 games below 500. The following game, though, a much better opportunity. Mm-hmm. And we still don't know what deal is going on with Guerrero. Maybe it's just, you got hit in the hand, you got a little bruise, we're going to give you a day off.
The MRI came back negative. He has no bone damage, no X-ray, so at least maybe it's a sprain. Who knows?
If it's it could be no IL stint, right? And maybe it's just, we're just going to take him out for today. We're going to be precautious. This one's a much better chance, though. Jose Barrios up against Arrighetti.
No idea.
I was familiar with him. He is not doing good. I think that this is one that we could win if we're going to win one.
We got to win one. Offense got to stay cooking. We're going to win because we can't get swept. All right, next game. This will be on Wednesday, everybody. 4-game series, by the way. Long series with the Astros. Yeah, Blanco is up for a freaking Cy Young this year against Yusei Kikuchi, who is not. Don't even need to think about this one. That one is going to be an L. Blanco literally no-hit us. He literally no-hit us.
Back with it?
Can he go back-to-back? Maybe.
Wouldn't that just be the icing on the cake?
Incredible, right?
I think if he went back-to-back, I think that you might see the biggest firings in one singular day following that game
you'd hope
any
so.
MLB team history.
You'd hope so.
Like if Ronel Blanco no-hit you twice.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Ross won't.
I also think that we're probably going to lose that one, folks.
Okay,
I'm fucking praying to God, though. We need a Kikuchi bounce back.
I know.
Just for trade value.
I know.
Just for trade value. Final game here. This is a tricky one. You got Chris Bassett and you got Framber Valdez. For me, even though you look at the ERAs of these guys and Chris Bassett's been good, and Framber Valdez, he's had some good moments, he's had some bad moments. this is going to be a Houston Astros W, and it's more to do with the fact that, I mean, one, Framber Valdez is still a good pitcher in his own right, and I have him on my fantasy team. He's been turning around a little bit. And I think that the Houston Astros are just rolling. I think that they're just rolling, and that's what I'm going to go with.
Ask yourself this. Do you really think the Blue Jays are going to be the ones to cool off the Houston Astros this year, who's 9-1 in the last 10? That's not going to happen. Yeah. We're going to get a Series L here. Yeah. We'll be 39-48 after the series, what we're predicting. That's 9 games below 500. Quick math, which will most assuredly lower our playoff odds to maybe 2%. Yeah. 1.5%. They're generous. That's Brad.
Yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah. So that's our predictions, everybody. You guys let us know in the chat or in the comments. What are you riding with? Do you think the Jays are going to win some games in this one, cool off the Astros, or not? It is now time, everybody, to get to our final segment of this video. Time to spin the wheel.
The spinning fortune ball, colorful, future determining, stat analyzing, and it's a wheel that we spin every week.
It is, in fact, a wheel that we spin every single week, folks. I believe it was my week last week.
Yeah.
Didn't go so great for me, though.
No.
I think we need to make a minor adjustment. For those of you who've been watching for a while, everybody, the rule has always been 15 at-bats. However, in this past week, I picked Spencer Horwitz for a category. He actually appeared in every single game. There are 6 games.
Right.
He started 5 of them and appeared in every single one. And he still didn't get 15 at-bats.
Because he gets so many walks. He just
gets so many walks.
Had 19 plate appearances, and that would have been meant a sweep, but, you know, got to stick by the rules. So let's do 15 plate appearances. I think that makes a lot more sense.
It makes a lot more sense because the whole rule was implemented in the first place to stop you from picking, like, a bench bat.
Yeah, exactly.
If you play all the games, it should count.
Absolutely.
So from now on, that is going to be what it is. We've also lost a...
I was looking to it's K batters. Okay. So we'll keep that in mind in case it comes around.
I'm not sure where that one came around, but
Probably
it is now your week, Adam.
Let's go!
Spin it and see what it's going to be. That's right, though, Summer. It's going to be 15 plate appearances from now on, just to keep things fair, and it's going to be home runs. I mean, it was clear and obvious right up until about 5 minutes ago, because if he's not playing, I don't know anymore.
Well, so if we pick Vladdy and he hits the IL, I guess that's null, right? That's the thing.
Here's so my understanding was when it was always like counting stats like home runs or walks or runs or anything like that, then plate appearances doesn't matter is what I've always thought. But when it's like average and OPS those categories, then it would.
See, I was under the impression it's all the same because like he doesn't have enough at bats to get as many home runs because he only had 1 RBI Spencer Horwitz last week. Right. Whereas I turned out 4 and I nailed that. So,
okay, well, whatever you're thinking.
God, what are you guys thinking? I mean, Springer's the other one. Like, god damn, am I really gonna freaking do that, man? Feels like I have to. Well, let's see. Let me just take a quick peek and see if I want to give it to you at all because home runs are volatile. This is pitching. Yeah, I mean, I'll let you decide. I'll let you decide.
I don't know, guys. I mean, like, I don't think that there's. That's the thing, right? Like, I certainly don't think I have the balls to pick Springer in this capacity. Right. I know that he's getting hot, but like, I just don't think I can do it. Part of me was saying I was gonna do Varsho, but he's just like legitimately like ice cold. David Schneider has gone ice cold. Yeah. I don't think Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is gonna be hitting a bunch of bombs. I genuinely have to pick Guerrero and just hope that he'll get 15 plate appearances.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I gotta go with the only other option really, which is George Springer. And
that's
crazy,
man. I can't. That's crazy.
This is where we're at.
This
is where we're at now, folks. Okay, that's the home run category.
I got a injured guy. You got an
aging veteran,
should be retired guy. All right, second category, everybody. What is it going to be? Okay.
It's the K batters.
K for batters. Okay, it was K batters. It stopped at that one. I know it's rolling back, but it was that one. All right. K for batters.
This feels kind of easy, actually. I mean, it's the only 2 guys really. If we take a look at this, Springer Well, Schneider's
Yeah,
up there,
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
He's striking out a hell of a lot.
Yeah, he is, dude. Both of those guys. They've always, I think on
Yeah.
the season, too, they're actually up there as well.
You know what? I think I'm going to lean. Kevin Kiermaier is a great option, but not enough at-bats. I'm going to go Dalton Varsho just because he missed a couple of games, actually, and he's still tied
Still right
Schneider.
up there. Still
Dalton
right up there.
Varsho, and he's struggling as hell.
Yeah, no, I get that. I will happily take David Schneider then. He definitely has a
Mm-hmm.
lot of swing and miss in his game. That's too bad, folks, by the way, that
Yeah.
he has cooled off at this time. Like, I was really hoping that he would maybe make a little bit of a push and go for the All-Star game. That is not going to happen anymore.
No.
At this point, he's kind of played himself out of that, and there's just
Yeah.
too many other guys. So,
All right.
instead, I'll just pick him for the most strikeouts.
There we go, guys. Everyone's saying KK or Kirk. I just don't think they have enough at-bats, guys.
That's the problem. You know, like, Kirk is just not getting the playing time right now at all, and it will be OPS. There you go.
Oh.
You're up first. Figure, you know. It's a
I mean,
tough-
actually,
tough
there's a lot of
decision.
guys. There's actually a lot of guys with the OP. Actually, I can't do that in the category.
Let's go to at-bats. and
At-bats.
kind of figure it out. Guerrero's
Guerrero,
obviously up there. IKF is
Yeah.
IKF is going to
Springer.
always be there, kind of. George Springer, if you really believe in it,
don't.
you know, he's going crazy.
You know what?
Turner.
I picked Turner last week, and he did great. Horwitz has been great. What about the last 7 days? Give you more microscope.
Springer, amazing. IKF, amazing. Guerrero, amazing.
Where's Turner here?
Turner is not-
He's 971.
Pretty
Okay.
good, pretty good.
Horwitz has been ice cold. God, do I go and ride with Turner again? I just know he's so consistent. George, I have literally no faith in that he's gonna be good again.
Yeah.
Guerrero, I have no idea. What are you guys thinking? What are we thinking here?
I think they're still on the last one because they're going Kevin Kiermaier
Oh,
and
yeah,
actually a couple people saying IKF,
IKF.
Bo. You know,
God,
I don't
this
think
sucks.
IKF's actually a terrible. I mean, the guy's batting 421.
He's not a bad shout at all. It's just like it's the 3 homers that are like really rocketing him, and the homer here and like
Yeah.
double. Like, that's like out of his character.
No, that's true. That's true.
Whereas like Guerrero's injured, this is out of your character. So like the only guy that's like kind of not out of character is Justin Turner for my mind.
Right.
Fuck it, you won it for me last week. I'll go Justin Turner.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah.
Because I already picked him for home runs, I have to go with Vladimir Gurerrero Jr. And again, just hope that he will play enough to be able to
That's the thing.
warrant that. I mean, if
I hate that happened, man. If that didn't come out, I would have smashed
it was
Guerrero every
abundantly
time.
clear, you know.
That's
That's
not
the
bad
thing.
though for like your second option in case he's
Yeah,
fine,
well, that's
right?
the thing, right? I mean, worst case scenario is he gets injured, and this is just a one category week.
Yeah,
which,
that's all it is.
I mean, hopefully that's not the case. I don't want to play like that. Like I
Right.
want to be able to play like legit.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see what happens,
see,
everybody.
guys.
That is going to be the wheel, and that is going to be the Blue Jays Today show for this Monday. Happy Canada Day to everybody who has watched. Even if you're not in Canada, happy Canada Day. You follow
Yeah.
the Toronto Blue Jays, and that's Canada's baseball team, folks. We are going to be live throughout the week, calling the games, doing our show on Friday, video coming out tomorrow, breaking down some more stuff about Vladimir Gurerrero Jr. What's really turned around for him, folks. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in and for coming to our Greta event, by the way.
Yeah,
Making
shout
show
out.
That was great. More live events in the future.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, guys,
Go
go
Jays,
Jays, go!